So we currently have over 100 active clients, and of the clients who are currently running ads for right now, every single one of them is producing results. And when I say producing results, what I'm really referring to here is they've got a good CPA on their ads, and by extension, they've got great cost per book calls, etc. Okay. And so every single one of those clients I've taken through the exact process that I want to walk through in this video. And I've literally had the conversation I'm going to explain in this video. I've had this literally over 100 times with each individual client. And bear in mind, our clients are agency owners and coaches, and they operate in extremely saturated niches. Yet with the ads that we run, we're still able to produce results. And it really does boil down to this one reason that I'm going to explain in this video. So with that being said, let's just jump straight into it. So the one thing is the offer. Now, before you click out of the video, you're like, oh, you've heard this conversation 1,000 times. Let me explain kind of my philosophy around it, because I really do think that if you implement this, it's genuinely going to help, whether you've got an agency or a coaching business, you're doing organic marketing, you're doing outbound emails, you're running ads yourself. It's really going to help you if you implement this. So again, as I say, let me just jump straight in. So I've got a list here that I just want to kind of go down, right? So first things first is that being first to market often doesn't perform. Okay, Malcolm Gladwell actually proved this. I believe it was in his book Outliers. He actually proved this. He did a study around this, and he proved that majority of businesses who are first to market typically don't last very long, right? They don't perform. Why is that? It's because the idea is too new to the market. So when I say too new to the market, think back to like the dot-com bubble, right? Before the not the dot-com bubble, the dot-com boom, right? Before that occurred, initially, people were very adverse. They were very against the internet. They wanted just more of whatever they were doing, right? And there was a couple early movers, but it was only until those early movers had spent time on the internet proving it, did then the rest of the market get onto the internet. So imagine if you, back in, I don't know what the year was, but say the 80s, for example, you're trying to sell the internet, you wouldn't have got any sales because you were too early. And it's the same idea now. We kind of experienced this a little bit when TikTok first came onto the market, right? People who sold TikTok ads very, very early on, if they had a paid traffic agency and they did TikTok ads as their like mechanism, a lot of them wasn't able to close very, very early on because the idea of TikTok was too new. But then as it started to evolve and more people adapted it as a method of them generating results, then the rest of the market kind of was like more open to the idea. And then at that point, or in other words, being second to market, after everyone kind of like, realized, okay, this is actually potential good opportunity to run ads on and whatnot. That's then when the mass market then adopted TikTok as a method of generating results. But the problem is if you are first to market, you're too early. And typically people like to see other people doing something before they do it, right? There's an idea around it. I think it's like the mass movement or whatever of markets, but that's really the fundamentals of it, right? People want to see other people do the thing and then they feel more comfortable to do whatever the thing is, right? So that's one important note to make. Now, so then the question becomes, well, how do you create a really good offer if you don't create anything that's new? Well, that brings me on to my second point, which is that you don't create desire with your offer, right? You cannot create desire in a market with your offer. Why? Because you should be channeling your offer into a pre-existing desire, okay? Because every market has a pre-existing desire within the market. And so you've got to fight, the goal to create a really, powerful offer is to figure out, okay, well, obviously, what's my market? And then you've got to ask the question of what is the pre-existing desire in this market? If I was to ask this market, what do they want? What would they tell me? Now, I want to make an important distinction here. This is not what that market needs. Okay, because what they need typically is not the thing that they want. And so on the front end, if you're trying to sell the thing that they need, you're not going to sell anything, because most of the time what somebody needs is not what's in their mind. What's in their mind is whatever the thing is that they want. For example, if you was to sell a marketing service, right? Like a lot of our clients are marketing agencies, so I'll use that as an example. If you was to sell a marketing service and, your clients really needed Facebook ads, because you're the master at Facebook ads, you can crush it, they're going to get amazing results if you run their Facebook ads for them. So what do they need? They need you to run their Facebook ads. But guess what? If you're in a saturated industry like the e-commerce industry or like the agency industry, etc., and you run ads for agencies, or you run Facebook ads specifically for agencies or for e-com or whatever it is, you will never close a client if in your marketing you say, hey, e-commerce founder, we'll run your Facebook ads for you. You'll never close that client, or you'll never get any new clients on board. Why? Because your client is going to automatically disregard your message, because they're going to see, oh, you run Facebook ads, and they're going to be like, oh, I've tried that in the past, or whatever, right? Like it doesn't work. So in that case, even though that is the thing that they actually need, they don't want it. So they're never going to buy it, right? So in your offer, you need to focus on what it is that they want. And what they want typically acts as the pre-existing desire in the market. So again, you got to ask yourself, what is the pre-existing desire? And then you've got to create an offer around the pre-existing desire specifically. So let me give you another example. A lot of our clients do actually do Facebook ads, but in our offer, we don't mention anything about Facebook ads. Reason being is because we know that it's never going to work, right? It's never going to convert. Nobody's ever going to actively be like, yeah, I really want more Facebook ads, right? So what do we do instead? Well, what we do instead is we keep it very curiosity based. So we'll go, for example, we'll say, hey, we'll generate you XYZ outcome, which is the thing that they want, more clients, whatever, right? Revenue will scale you to 200,000 a month, whatever, without spending any more money on ads. That's the offer, guaranteed. Right? Without spending any more money on ads. And so what are we referencing there? Well, what actually we're saying is without spending any more money on ads. So we're going to come in, we're still going to run your Facebook ads, but we're going to do it in a way that's going to increase, your current return from what you're already spending on the ads. So that way you see, I sold them on what they want, but on the back end, you're still going to deliver the thing that they need. Does that make sense? So let's go back to the idea that I mentioned before of, the pre-existing desires. You got to figure out what that is, right? Of whatever your market is, what's the pre-existing desire? What do they want, right? And that never changes. Very, very rarely does that ever change, okay? The only way that will change is if some player or a few players in your industry came in and completely delivered that desired outcome that your entire market wants. At that point, they would no longer have that desired outcome or that desire. But guess what? No one's ever done that ever in any industry, right? So that desire is always going to stay there. So the question then becomes, obviously, if you're in an industry where people have figured out what the desired, the pre-existing desire is of your market, and everybody's promising that as an outcome. So for example, again, let's say in the agency space, everybody wants more sales calls, and then a bunch of people which they already have in the agency space, right? They've guaranteed agency owners more sales calls, right? I've got a similar offer that does the same thing. We guarantee sales calls, right? Well, then if I come into that market, or if somebody else now comes into our market and they start to guarantee more sales calls, they're not going to generate any results. Why? Because I'm in the market already guaranteeing sales calls. There's a bunch of other people in the market who are already guaranteeing sales calls. So the offer of, promising or guaranteeing the pre-existing desire in the market, you can't compete there anymore because everybody's saying the same thing. So then the question becomes, how do you compete? How do you create an offer in that market that actually performs? Well, here's how you do it. At least here's how we do it for all of our clients. And again, this works really, really well across all of our clients. How you do it is you introduce a new, efficient, more effective delivery method of the desired outcome. Again, the desired outcome doesn't change. So you still need to speak to that. People still want to grow their e-commerce companies to 100,000 a month, 200,000 a month. People still want to get more sales calls. They still want to do this. They still want to do that. However, how you're going to differentiate yourself is by virtue of your solution. And this is the conversation I have with a lot of our clients, which is we need to figure out a more effective, quicker, easier solution, or just a naturally more intriguing solution to produce the outcome that they already want. Okay, so for example, let's say you're in the e-commerce space and, your offer right now is, we'll guarantee you 100K a month, right? Well, first things first, you're not gonna be the only person guaranteeing that, right? And I know that because I get hit with so many e-com ads all the time and everybody's saying the same thing. So let's say, for example, 2 people, right, are guaranteeing 100K a month for e-commerce founders. Well, the outcome of 100K a month, you can't compete there because you're guaranteeing 100K, the other person's guaranteeing 100K. So how do you beat that competitor? And when I say 1 and 2 here, I'm talking about you versus basically your entire industry, right? How do you beat them? Well, most of the time, people will just say, hey, we'll guarantee you 100K, here's some results, bang, that's done. But what you would do in that instance, and this again is what we implement for our clients and it works really, really well, we'll guarantee you 100,000 a month. Now, here's why every time you tried to scale your company from 50,000 to 100,000 or to 200,000 a month in the past, you failed. And we'll give them the real problem. And then what we'll do is we'll introduce our new, improved, easier, more effective way of generating the results. So then we'll go, and so instead, right, so we just introduced the problem. Here's the reason why you're not getting the results you want. And so instead, here's what we do. And then that's the point at which you'll introduce your solution, which really should just be the inverse of the problem that you've just mentioned, right? And so then when you introduce your solution, you obviously at that point, you're not going to say it's by Facebook ads. Why? Because at that point, if that market's very aware of Facebook ads, they've tried it in the past as an example, they're going to be like, oh, I've tried Facebook ads, it doesn't work. They're just going to palm you off and they'll keep scrolling. They won't click on your ad or they won't, respond to your email. So what do you need to do? You need to come up with a more efficient and effective solution that you market on the front end. I'm going to come back to that point in a minute because that's important. So the solution that you might come up with might be YouTube ads for e-commerce. That's like a blue, like nobody talks about YouTube ads for ecom, right? Everyone's Facebook ads for ecom. And so what you would do is, the reason you've not gotten the results you want in the past is because Facebook ads is XYZ problems. And so instead what we do is YouTube ads, and here's why it's going to get you the result. And then you got to make it a logical explanation in your prospect's mind as for them to be like, that makes so much sense. I realize why I've failed in the past, and I see how this is the solution to me getting the result. Now they're going to click the ad, right? Now, one thing I just mentioned there was, even if you still do Facebook ads on the back end, that doesn't matter for now. I'm talking specifically on the front end. So what you can do on the front end is say, hey, we'll do this, unique mechanism, right? The YouTube ads, for example. But then when you get the prospect on the phone, and obviously you close them as a client, that's then when you can go, by the way, we do also do Facebook ads. And the reason being is because the way we implement it, it works really well. Let us run them for you for 2 weeks, or let us just do performance only on the Facebook specifically, just so you can see that this stuff actually works. Because again, people are not averse to Facebook ads specifically. What they're more averse to, and they think they're averse to Facebook ads, right? They do think they are averse to it. But the reason why they dislike, quote, Facebook ads in this example is simply because they think in their mind Facebook ads isn't going to get them the result. So they don't care about Facebook ads. They just think that that method isn't going to get them the result. But at the end of the day, the thing they want is the result, is the outcome. So if you bring the client on board, you start running their Facebook ads and it produces the result, guess what? They're going to love Facebook ads. So, you don't always have to just, if in your industry, people have this preconceived idea around a specific solution or a specific service, on the front end, then yes, you definitely don't want to sell that service, because then, no one's going to buy it, right? If they don't want the thing, nobody's going to buy it. But on the back end, if that thing is actually the thing they need, then implement it for them, and as long as they get the result, they're going to be more than happy. So just as a quick wrap up here for this video, one final thing I wanted to mention is, if, as I said before, you do have a very commoditized solution like Facebook ads or something like that, where everyone's doing it and nobody wants the thing, right? Maybe in e-commerce it might be like email marketing, or in even in the agency space, like if you do like any kind of appointment setting for agencies or for any type of service-based business, I think a pretty overused method of outreach in that space is like email outreach. Like nobody wants to do email outreach anymore. But if you've got a really good system with email outreach or with the Facebook ads that works, but you also know people don't want that thing, but they need it, well, on the front end, one of the easiest ways for you to be able to get the prospect, at least on the phone, is just using without clauses. So I kind of referenced this earlier in the video, but this works really, really well. Again, if you say the outcome, right? So let's say, for example, you run an agency right now, and in your mind, the only way for you to get results, or at least sales calls and new clients, is either through email outreach, it's through organic marketing, or it's through paid ads. They're the only three that you're thinking of in your mind right now. And they're really the three main ones as well, to be honest. If you're just starting out your agency and whatnot, like they're the three main ones, right? So imagine if I said to you, I'll guarantee you 50 sales calls in the next 30 days without sending a single email outreach, without spending a dime on ads, and without building a personal brand. You're gonna probably click that link to book in a call or watch the video or whatever the CTA is. And all I did there was I stated your desire, and I just removed everything that you think is required or you think is needed in order to get that result. In other words, I stated your outcome and I removed everything that you probably don't want to do / you've tried to do in the past and it didn't work. So just naturally by saying that, your desire is jacked up. And anytime you increase somebody's desire, they're always going to take the next step, whether it's to click the ad, respond to your email, whatever it is. If you install a high level of curiosity, high level of desire in your prospect, they're going to take that next step. So hopefully that was useful. I know it wasn't as tangible as some of my other videos where I'm just like, guarantee this and you do this, or guarantee this number of results or whatever. But hopefully this kind of like thought process around offers, more so for like saturated industries, helps. The reason I wanted to make this video is, as I said before, I've had this conversation with so many clients. So hopefully this was useful. If you found value in it, make sure you like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.